So this is the first... I forgot, these not interviews, are they? Were they little chats? Okay. So this is the first chat that I've recorded here, and you can hear the person that I'm going to chat to laughing in the background there. It's Will from the N Europe forums. How are you, Will?
I am very well, thank you for having me on the show. It's I feel like I'm living a dream of mine.
It's nice to have your feedback on the forums most weeks as well, so it's great to have you here with us. And the game you're going to talk about, Will, is what?
We are going to talk about Super Mario Land.
Good choice. And that's why I'm chatting with you, because it's one of my favourites as well.
A man of taste.
Why Super Mario Land?
So, for me, this was my introduction not only into Mario, not only into Nintendo, but it was pretty much, I think, the first game I ever played.
So you're obviously from England.
Yes, I am.
Was this a launch title that you bought with the original Game Boy in, and it came out in Europe in 1990?
You know, I don't remember if we got this on launch. I remember I went out with my dad on a Sunday morning to Tandy. If anyone remembers Tandy.
I remember them, yeah.
And we got the Game Boy with Tetris packed in, of course, and then picked up Super Mario Land. I'm honestly not sure if there were other games available or what they were. I remember that Sunday going out, getting the Game Boy, coming home and firing up Super Mario Land.
I got Super Mario Land a little bit later. It wasn't much after the launch, but I got a Game Boy a little bit later after the launch as well, just a couple of months. But I can remember getting Tetris, and I remember the Game Boy being £70 because I paid for it myself. And but I also got, so this must have come out pretty early in the life cycle, F1 Race at the time as well, which came with a 4-player tap, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I loved that as well. Another one of my favourites.
So this Super Mario Land, the original Game Boy game, we're going to talk about. Why in particular does it paint such a vivid Mario and nostalgic picture for you, Will?
So, you know, as I mentioned, it's pretty much the first game I ever played. It took me a long time. I think I would have been 7 or 8. So it introduced me to a lot of different things. I'd not experienced games before, so every new level was a new experience, the new enemies coming in, the music coming in, the submarine and plane levels, with the very upbeat music and shooting things and the big, at the time, I don't think they've really passed as set pieces today, but, going through mazes, hitting enemies that explode. And
yeah, I played this as a refresher because I played it so many times when it's passed, and there's a little maze, especially in the last level when you're flying in the airplane. There's a little maze, and if you don't get it quick enough, it's not that difficult, but if you really don't get it quick enough, you can get trapped and die behind a wall.
The first time you play that level, you're not ready for it, and I know I did exactly the same thing, played through it this afternoon. And you're at the bottom of the screen, and I think you go up, back, up a bit further, across,
That's
down.
Right, yeah. And you do that twice, don't you? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, even playing it now, it's quite easy now when you play it, right? I think you finish it in just over half an hour. But that's still quite you have to get it right, and if you're not in the correct place at the correct time, it's not going to work out for you.
Did you ever, before this Game Boy Mario, did you ever play a Mario game before it, like on the NES?
I had never played one, but I do have memories of the big marketing push for Super Mario 3. And I remember wanting one, and I think maybe a few kids at school had an NES and got that game. But somehow I pretty much avoided any Nintendo other than the Game Boy up until the N64.
I was the opposite. I did have an NES, I did have a SNES, I did have, all the kind of Mario games. But this one, because of its short, like you said, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, you can just fly through the game once you know what you're doing. It's It's a game that you just pick up periodically, and I played it so many times. I played it, like I said, today, and I just know where all the power-ups are. I know where, there's a secret in, I think it was on one of the rock levels, the boulder bouncing levels, and there's the tarantulas jumping around, and there's a little secret there that if you hit a hidden block, you've got to be large Mario, and then you hit again, there's this little lift which takes you up and over the top of the level, and it's like, I remember exactly where everything is.
Yeah, and it's funny, right? I was playing it again I think I probably played through it earlier this year for various reasons. I had a bit of time on my hands, and I spent some of it playing through Super Mario Land again. And I'm exactly the same. And what I know about one of them, but before speaking to you, I thought I'll have a look at other secrets, see if there's anything I've missed. And what I hadn't realised, and only realised today, is that there's actually two of those lifts in that level. There's one right at the start, and there's one maybe halfway through. And I had never ever done the one at the start of the level until today, and so that was a new discovery for me. And it's nice that all these years later you discover something like that. But unfortunately, it seems like I now know everything there is to know about the game and won't have that discovery again.
I wish I had an original Game Boy. My Game Boy died a long time ago. I played it on the 3DS Virtual Console, and it's just not the same.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I played it on my computer through an emulator.
Okay.
With a controller, and it's still good, but it doesn't really have the same feeling, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to have an original console, or maybe one of I always like the Game Boy Pocket. And I think if I could have played through on one of those, it would have been great.
I wonder if you found it as well. There's a couple of levels, especially when you're jumping past the ninjas in World 4, because there's only 4. This is a very strange game. Very strange for Mario. There's 4 worlds, 3 levels on each world, and then at the end of World 2, so that's 2, 3, and 4, 4, 3, they've got those submarine levels, like a side-scrolling shooting level, and the airplane one on 4, 3. It's unusual in other ways as well. The enemies are all different. The location is different. It's not Mushroom Kingdom. It's Sarasa Land, and it's Princess Daisy. It was Daisy's debut in this game. Is there any kind of enemy or boss or anything that stands out of the game for you?
There is a couple for me that really stood out. One is the ninjas that you mentioned.
Yeah, and they're undefeatable as well. I completely forgot. And of all the things I said, remember, the first time today I jumped on a ninja, and then they kind of reanimate.
Yeah, they squash down, and then but you can beat them.
With fireballs?
If you hit them with 2 fireballs, then you actually fully kill them, which is something I did know about and forgot when I was first playing through. But the other thing for me, and what I think now you really take for granted, is it introduces you to certain enemies earlier on in the game, and then it starts combining them together. And so there's a part in World 3, Level 1, where you've got a piranha plant synced with I guess they're bullet bills. I'm not sure if that's what they were actually titled as in Super Mario
very
Land.
Tiny little bullet bills, aren't they? They're more like bullets themselves. Tiny things. Yeah.
And you have to jump onto the warp pipe that's got the piranha plant coming up and down. But every time the piranha plant goes down, the bullet bill comes across. It's a little bit out of sync, so you do eventually get to the point where you can do it quite easily. I'm sure speedrunners do it without thinking about it. And then there's a couple of other levels like that where the combination of the enemies works to make quite an interesting level design. The other one that I made a note of, and I have no idea what these enemies are. I guess they're rocks with arms and legs, and they kind of run at you really quickly. I think they're quite late on in the game.
One caught me out earlier on today, yeah.
Yeah, so those guys are pretty interesting. Then the other thing that I took note of was the bosses outside of actually I think all of them, you don't actually have to kill them. And actually you can't, if you're not the right form of Mario, you can't kill them, right? And you have to figure out a way to get under them. And I thought that was quite quite an interesting irregularity, right?
Yeah, it is an irregularity, and the World 3 kind of typifies that, where the boss is one of those kind of boulder guys with arms and legs, and he's throwing boulders at you, which you jump on the boulders, and it's just so much easier to coordinate, time yourself, jump on the boulder, and then jump up and over him.
And would jump on the whatever the pad is, and then he automatically kills him. I mean, that's not a great setup from the bosses in the game.
And then there's, for me, just to kind of finish things off, the last boss. He's not Bowser. This is a Mario game. There's no Bowser. It's Tatanga, who is a space alien flying a spaceship. So it continues on through level 4-3 is that airplane level. And then you beat this cloud boss that's throwing out ducks, which kind of go up and down, right? And I found that cloud boss a little bit more unpredictable and more difficult than Tatanga himself.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I remember as I was playing through it, I found it exactly the opposite.
Okay.
So the cloud guy, and I'd actually forgotten that there was two bosses at the end.
After
right?
each other, yeah.
I was like, really? It can't be this cloud that's the final boss. And I went through it fairly easily. And then Tatanga, I thought, oh my god, okay, this is a final boss, and not so much him, but the fireballs he's shooting out that go into threes, and you need to judge that up and down.
You don't really have to focus on Tatanga at all, As long as you're looking at those fireballs, you can just go up and down, up and down, up and down, and you get into this rhythm where he just can't hit you. It's what an amazing boss, though.
It's a really good fun boss. I definitely a nice end to that adventure.
So, from what we talked about earlier, I wish I kept my original Game Boy and all those Game Boy cartridges now. They look so nice. I'm taking it that you don't have them either.
I do not. I'm sure if I was to go and explore in my parents' attic, I would probably find more than one Game Boy and a good selection of games. But no, nowadays I haven't got any of them with me. I did fancy getting my hands on the analog Game Boy.
The analog NT,
I think sold out.
Something like that? Or no, the analog NT is the home console ones, I think.
It's the Analog Pocket.
Yes, that's right, yes.
I thought that looked great. I really wanted one. I know there was a few guys on the forum were talking about getting them. I was maybe a little bit optimistic, and I thought they'd be readily available, and I don't need to rush on day one to get my pre-order in. Of course, I was proven completely wrong, and I still haven't been able to get
so quick. Yeah,
but if I get the chance, I'll definitely attempt to pick one of those up, and maybe one of the the ROM cards, and I think it'd be quite a nice thing to have, just to ping some of those old games on.
So one of the other reasons we were going Mario 35, and then Will came in, and then he mentioned that you would actually, because you work in games, Will, doesn't matter where you work now.
I do.
You work in games, and you did work on a Mario game. I'm intrigued to know who you worked with, for one, and how far your participation in that work enabled Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Was it the original one?
Yes, the original one, and many others after that.
Okay.
So from that, there was two companies involved, right? And yes. I was at Sega, and I worked at Sega or subsidiaries of Sega for close to 14 years up until about a year ago. And the very first project I worked on at Sega was Mario and Sonic at the Olympics.
Did you feel any regret that it wasn't Nintendo? It's like, were you always a Sega fan as well?
I was always a Sega fan. As a kid, I was definitely on the Mega Drive side of the playground.
Okay.
And I remained a Sega fan throughout all of the different consoles. And it was actually Mario 64 and Mario Kart as a combo, which is what finally pulled me over to Nintendo. What
was your involvement in Mario and Sonic? At least the original one, anyway. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Which one was the first one called? Mario and Sonic at the...
It was just, at the time, it was just Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. It was the official Wii game for the Beijing Olympics.
Beijing ones.
So long time ago now, 12 years ago. So my involvement was very late on in the project. I was really not involved in it, and I came into Sega doing something completely unrelated. But what I supported on that game was actually the marketing push. they did a big retailer outreach program. And so my participation in that was to go back to where I'm from in the Midlands. And I went round the retailers saying hi to the managers and the staff in there, giving them a load of swag for the game and saying, "Oh, I hope you push this for us. Here's some swag to persuade you to do so." And it was very interesting because a few years earlier when I was doing my A-levels, had actually worked in electronics boutique as it was at the time. And so a lot of the people that I worked with in the past were still there. So, it's nice to surprise them probably to come back in that sort of a role. It was a very interesting title for Sega because they didn't expect the Wii to do particularly well.
I was just going to say, because the Wii did exceptionally well, you must have had quite a good reception when you did try and say, hey, promote it for us.
Oh, it was phenomenal. Once that game was on the ground and people knew about it, this was, of course, it wasn't the first time Sonic had been on a Nintendo console, but it was the first time Mario and Sonic had been doing something together. And I think that, I remember when I saw that for the first time that it was going to happen, it was kind of a thing that 10 years earlier you would just, no way, right?
So how in advance did you know before the general public?
So I actually, because of what I was doing at the time, I found out about it through the press. I didn't...
okay. Same time as everybody else, yeah.
Yeah. So, I saw it on a magazine cover and it was, wow. And then I later took up the role that I got into doing and was involved in the launch of that game.
That's exciting. People in Europe and people I chat with have been helping out with games I've loved in the past as well. Thank you for having this chat with us today, Will.
Thank you for having me.
And we hope we can do something with you in the future as well. That'd be cool.
I would very much enjoy that. I hope you invite me on again.
I will. I most certainly will. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the Any Cafe podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.